Netflix's most expensive movie ever made just dropped, but before it came out, it was getting murdered by critics. Is it as bad as they say? I don't think so. Based on the science fiction dystopian novel by Simon Stellenhag, we start in 1990 before the war. Robots were created to do the jobs humans didn't want. But then robots start an uprising because they want rights and shit, and the humans are like, no, hell no. We don't want to give you none of those. So then Stanley Tucci creates a virtual board where you can control drones. And with this, they manage to defeat the robots and establish a truce. The tech then becomes an everyday commodity for the normal people, and you're able to work and play at the same time. Millie Bobby Brown has a younger genius brother who she thought died in a car wreck along with her parents. But one day, this little robot shows up at her foster home claiming to be her brother. Through charades, he eventually tells her that he's still alive somewhere and his consciousness is in this little robot. He then tells her kinda maybe how to potentially get there, but they're gonna need help. In comes Chris Pratt, who's a black market salesman that knows his way around. Because Millie stole her father's car to escape the foster home, Giancarlo Esposito, who's an ex-military colonel, is set out to track her down. He's then eventually hired by Tucci to retrieve the robot with the kid's consciousness inside because his company are the ones who actually have the body. And so the adventure begins. This movie is stacked, not only with the actors already mentioned, but voicing some of the robots. You have Woody Harrelson as Mr. Peanut, who's like the robot leader. You have Alan Tudyk, Jenny Slate, Jason Alexander, Ki-Hu Kwan, Coleman Domingo, Anthony Mackie, Hank Azaria, and even Gronk is there, spitting off half a line. The line was so small, I don't remember even hearing it. But I think most of a $320 million budget went to its CGI. You can tell it's pretty good, like it looks pretty great. But from looking at the novel's images, you can tell that they took those creepy images and tried to cutesify them a little bit. They managed to hit some of the depressing tone. I mean, you're supposed to because it's, post-war, but I found the look to be very generic. With so much money, you would think they would try and make an effort to make it look different and stand out from other things, but I didn't feel like they managed to do so. The book seems to be way more serious than the movie. I've not read it, but I like the premise so much that I do find myself eventually picking it up to check it out. If you have, feel free to let me know your thoughts about this movie down in the comments. By past and personal experiences, if you've read the book of the source material, you will most likely hate the movie. That's usually how it goes. While the CGI I thought looked great, I don't think it was used particularly well. There aren't any great, fantastic set pieces. There are a couple fights here and there, but nothing that actually stick out to me that I'm gonna take away with me after this review. But I do like, especially what the book is going for from the couple images I saw. Unfortunately, I don't feel like the movie translated it because like most of what Netflix does, it went through its Netflix machine and just slap its filter over it. So this looks just like everything else Netflix has ever done. All of it just looks the same, like the same color tone, the same everything. So yeah, that's not fantastic, but I was managed to move past that because of the dystopian sci-fi elements. Those really interest me, and they really had me glued to the screen for about half of the movie. With this world having so much to chew on, I wish they did more in terms of world building. Instead, they just go like, well, there was a war and it's a mess now and we hate robots. And it feels like there was way more that could have been touched upon there. Or at least implementing some sort of philosophy, like the table was set to go deeper and they just did it. Like it's just brushed past it. Like no one talks about the hypocrisy or irony that the humans have to turn themselves into robots to fight robots. And then when they won, they basically continue living their lives as robots. Oh no, but they hate robots. But they're fine with slapping on a headset and become a robot. Like that theme there, no one brought that up. No one mentions that. It's just sitting there to be explored or touched upon, but no one mentions it. No one throws it back at Tucci's face or anything. It's just like, I found the performances to be all around just okay. Chris Pratt is basically Temu Pottymouth Han Solo, down to the vest and having a little companion. Anthony Mackie voices his little companion guy, and they both serve as comedic relief by doing your typical by the book Chris Pratt type things. They argue, they yell, love-hate relationship they both have. But again, they didn't go deeper. Unfortunately, they didn't explore much of Pratt's backstory. He's an ex-soldier and that's about it. We don't get to see why he's anti-headset. He don't even say that he's actually anti-headset, but he never has one and never wants to use one. He's more about the past and the real world and getting collectibles, and that's what he sells from the black market, like old toys and that sort of stuff. So he's holding on to the real world. But they didn't go deeper as to why he's so attached to those things or why he's anti-headset or whatever. Just because he fought against the robots, he just was missing more. And that's really the problem with the movie overall. It doesn't go deeper into anything, and it feels pretty superficial, which is a shame because I feel like the source material has so much to explore, like I mentioned. And that's really what kept me watching and kept me even giving a little bit of a shit, is to explore more of that world. Giancarlo Esposito is in here, and even as a drone, he's kind of scary. He doesn't sound like normal Giancarlo Esposito. He added a little something to it, which I thought was cool. Tucci bringing his normal Tucci factor. Take that sentence as you will. And our main character, Millie Bobby Brown, is also in this movie. She was kind of rough for me at times. Some scenes I could tell that she's acting like she never really became the character for me, and this took me out. I felt she had like passable chemistry with Pratt, nothing like, whoa, these two are an amazing duo, I want to see them in another movie. But they have enough chemistry to serve, you know, the lackluster story that they're telling. But this movie did make me think about something. I do have a hot take about Millie Bobby Brown. I don't know how much of a hot take it is, as much as it's just facts. Millie Bobby Brown has never been in a great movie. You don't believe me? Go ahead and tell me what great movie she's been in. I'll wait. No, not that one. Definitely not that one. And that's about it, because she doesn't have many, and they're all from Netflix. She has it, and don't get me wrong, she's beloved by many, but because of Stranger Things. And I think that she needs a home run pretty soon. And I don't mean like just a home run. She needs a damn no-doubter. Just to take a next step in her acting career, I feel like. And I'm no expert or anything, but it just seems like in the trajectory she's going, she's just going to be the girl from Stranger Things forever. Which, okay, yeah, it's not a bad thing, but Stranger Things is ending this year. After that, then what? You're just going to be in bad to decent movies for the rest of your career? Again, that's fine. But even like Finn Wolfhard took a different step. Just, it's not a gigantic, fantastic, best movie I've ever seen, but the Ghostbusters series, it's fine, and that helps him shed a little bit more of the kid from Stranger Things. You know, he was even in It, basically playing a similar character, but we saw him in different movies that are considered pretty good, that make some sort of mark, that made you remember him from different roles. But Millie, I feel like right now she's being put in roles just because she's Millie, not because she's the most perfect actress for that specific role, or because she's just so amazing and she brings so much to the table. I just haven't seen it outside of Stranger Things. Even this role, I think in the graphic novel, this character isn't supposed to be a young girl. It's supposed to be a 30-year-old woman. So that was changed to put in Millie Bobby Brown. So I just want to see her in bigger roles that she can spread her acting wings in. And I think she can do it. I think she can deliver a banger performance, but she just needs a role where she can show what she can do as an actress. And that role has to allow her to do that instead of just putting her in whatever just because she's, you know, a young Millie Bobby Brown. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And I don't get it twisted. I'm not hating on her by any means. I think she's great. But I think she's great just because of Stranger Things, which is my point. And I guess in that little rant, I just called this movie decent, which I think it is. It's not perfect, definitely has its problems. The pace is all over the place. It's very stop and go whenever the movie wants it to be. The heartfelt moments are very generic. And there's some things that kind of bothered me, but they're not enough to ruin the experience for me. But one example of this is like the kid is a genius, right? But he's put into the robot and it's his consciousness, but it's still the same kid. He still should be a genius. But as the robot, he's kind of has like this childish wonder, like they're supposed to be quiet and hiding from Giancarlo, and he's over here pressing buttons and making noise. That just didn't make sense. If you're a genius, you know to shut the f up, right? But he, just to serve the story and to create conflict and scenarios, they had the kid doing stupid stuff that didn't really make a whole lot of sense sometimes. A couple details like that just made me question, but not necessarily feel like it was the worst decision they've ever made. To me, honestly, it's in between good and okay. I know I just ragged on it a little bit, but I wasn't expecting much, and it was because of the reviews. I saw IGN, I think it was, giving it a 4. I don't think it's a 4, but this is the problem with giving it scores. Every person's scale is different. Maybe this is a 4 for you, but there's no way. This is not a 4 for me. I'm not going to tell you what number it is because my number means something different to you. You know, that's why I usually try to stay away from scoring and giving, you know, numbers or letters to movies, because the score itself is subjective. I can just say this movie is shit, but I love it. 7 out of 10, or you know what I'm saying? So because of the reviews, I went in thinking it was going to be a pile of shit. To me, a 4 out of 10 is rage inducing. I'm sitting there watching the screen just pissed off, gripping the seat, and I can't believe it, but not enough to shut it off. A 2 to a 1 is shut off. It's just how fast you shut it off. That's my scale. So when I saw a 4, I thought I was going to be pissed watching this thing. And I wasn't. It's really not like that. Also, how much does the fact that this went straight to streaming affect how you view this movie? Is that telling you already it's not worthy to be in the theater, so you already have to gauge the scale accordingly? Do you already put it in a different category by itself because it went straight to streaming? Does that affect how you view it? All that matters when it comes to scoring, right? So I'm not going to score it because I never score it, but what I will say is that this movie did have me interested enough to watch the whole thing. But what Netflix did really was took something very interesting with a lot of potential and turned it generic, which is what Netflix does, which is why everything looks the same. It doesn't matter how much money you spend, it's going to look the same. At the end of the day, I think it's a generic story with a very predictable ending in an interesting world that I wish they focused a little bit more on. It looked great and had okay acting. I don't regret watching it by any means, and I think it's an okay time that I will most likely forget about in a day or two. It's not the worst Netflix movie I've ever seen. I've seen way worse, and I'm sure you have as well. So if you've seen it, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you read the novel, what do you think about the movie? I enjoy hearing the points of view of people who love the source material because they're so passionate about it, and it opens my eyes to things that I wasn't privy to, so I love those points of views. So while you're down there ranting or raving about this movie, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to always and forever, you do you.